let's talk about 11 things you should never leave in your Toyota Tacoma, or any car or truck, really. Starting off, number 1, aerosol cans. Makes a lot of sense, right? Aerosol cans supposedly can withstand heat up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. But you know it can get a lot hotter inside your Toyota Tacoma than that, especially during summer, or if you live in a southern area like I do where it gets hot any day, all the time. Of course, they can explode, they can damage your car, they can even injure somebody if it happened to occur when other people are in your car, right? Number 2, art supplies. Something I never would have thought of, right? And I'm not a big artist, but I know there are people out there who do art stuff, or maybe you have kids and on a long trip or something, you want to give them something to do, so you give them some crayons or markers or, God forbid, even paint. Again, on a hot days, things melt, right? I mean, can you imagine you lay a crayon, let's say you laid one on your dash for some reason, maybe little Johnny handed you one, you didn't think about it, to get it off your back, you lay it on the dash, you walk away, you come back, and that crayon has now melted into all the little crevices and stuff in the dash on your Toyota Tacoma. That would be a bummer. Number 3, I think it's number 3. I'm going to stop labeling these because I know I'm going to forget the numbers. Next up, batteries. Now this is something that a lot of people might stow in their Tacoma as a flashlight, or in a flashlight really, or maybe extra batteries for that flashlight in case you ever need it, like if you have to change a tire at night, or if you're one of these get ready, get up and go quickly people, you know, during the apocalypse, you might have some extra batteries and stuff in your Toyota Tacoma. But they can be damaged by extreme cold, of course, then they're less effective. But even worse, if it gets really hot, they can explode or even just pop open. And when that happens, you can get corrosive acid flowing onto whatever it is that's around where they're being stored. I mean, imagine what that would do to the plastics in your truck. Not a good thing. Next up, glasses. This is something I have discovered firsthand. You know, a lot of vehicles, the Toyota Tacoma comes with that sunglass or glasses holder right up in the front, right where all the heat hits from the roof and from the windshield. It can warp your glasses, it can warp the lenses. They're all plastic now. Who buys glasses anymore? It can actually warp the lens. That means you're not going to be able to see out of them as well. You've got a pair of glasses that maybe you've left in your truck several times, and then you start to wonder, gee, why aren't they as effective as they used to be? Might be because you're leaving them in your truck and they've warped. I've also noticed that the finish on sunglasses will start to break down or fade away. On my sunglasses, which I've left in the truck a lot of times, they start to kind of chip away around the edges. That's the heat ruining the coating on the glasses. Next up, and this one's kind of dumb, makes sense, gym clothes. You leave gym clothes in your truck after you've worked out and sweat all over them, they're gonna stink. I don't know how many times I've had people talk to me about smells in their truck. Gym clothes, or any clothes that you might sweat in. Let's say you're working somewhere and you have a shirt on because it's cool in the morning, you take it off, you throw it behind the seat, it sits in there and it cooks, your truck starts to stink. That's probably why. Next, laptops. You know, we're all mobile these days. You have to run around with laptops all over the place. Of course, they have batteries in them, and they can be degraded with temperatures as high as or as low as just 70 degrees. And of course, they are batteries, so if it gets really, really hot, same thing can happen. They can explode, they can break loose, if you will, and ruin your laptop. Next, medication, medicine. Medicine can be affected by heat or cold. You don't want to leave your blood pressure medicine in your Toyota Tacoma, or maybe any other medication that you might take, because extreme temperatures can reduce the effectiveness of it. Not something that you want to do, particularly if it's some kind of medication that you really need, right? Next up, important documents. Now, this one kind of makes sense because if anybody breaks into your truck, and steals everything that's in the glove box, let's say, and it's got your social security number on it, or your bank account, or your passwords. Maybe you leave your old checkbook in there. Anybody still carry a checkbook? Some places you can't use the old Cash App or Venmo. You don't want to leave that in your truck sitting out somewhere, because if somebody breaks in, obviously, you've just given them the keys to your financial kingdom. Make sure that you don't leave that kind of stuff in there. The only thing that you really need is your registration and your insurance papers in case you get in an accident or something. Next up, plastic water bottles. This is another one that goes right along with the bug out philosophy, right? If there's ever an apocalypse and you have to get out really quick, you want to have that water in there so that you can have something to drink when you're going to be out in the middle of nowhere for days while the zombies are chasing you. A couple problems with that. One, water, if it's sitting out in the open, like on your dash, can act as a magnifying glass. The sun comes down, hits that water bottle, and superheats whatever's under it. It can melt your dash or anything else that you have. Also, we have this big chemical problem these days. BPA. Now, I don't know what it stands for, but it's a chemical that's not good for you. And if you leave it in there, it can leach into the water and then you drink it. So it's not a good idea to leave water in your truck in the event that you should need to get out quick and you want to have it later. You might be drinking poison. The zombies won't get you, but the water will. Next up, sunscreen. Sunscreen, depending upon temperatures, can become less effective or not effective at all if it gets really hot or even really cold. So you're out there, you're on the beach, you're on vacation, you're slathering up, and you're not doing a thing, and wonder why you burn afterwards, right? This next one is kind of crazy. I don't understand, and I don't know who does this, but wine. You don't want to leave wine sitting in your Toyota Tacoma. Who does this anyway? But if it heats up, it can pop the cork, of course, and leak out all over the place. Do you know how nasty wine is when it gets really hot and then dries? It's like a syrupy, acidic nightmare. I mean, it's made with grapes, right? Or maybe some other fruit, but nonetheless, that has an acidic quality to it. It can actually eat away the plastics that it might get on. I don't know. I don't know anybody that does that, but it made the list. Lastly, and this is one that didn't make the list, so we're going to call this a bonus number 12. Pop, soda, whatever you call it, anything that's carbonated. You ever had a Coke can explode inside your Toyota Tacoma? My wife did this once. She left a Coke inside, I think it was some Mazda or something, and it blew up. And it was so bad, you know, this wasn't my wife, this was my daughter, sorry Krista. And it blew up, and there was pop all over the headliner inside her car. It was a syrupy, sticky, nasty mess. You want to make sure you don't do that either. Anyway, these are just 11 or really 12 things that you don't want to leave inside your Toyota Tacoma. They can cause big problems. Leave a comment. Ever had a pop can or maybe a wine bottle explode in your Toyota Tacoma? Leave a comment. I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.